want to try to reserve some time for the other members to ask the questions they'd like to ask. And noting the time, of course, we want to have significant time for our second panel so we can hear from the business owners about their experience. But I do have a couple of questions I'd like to ask. And basically, I think the bottom line that I want to get at here is we know that we can do better, that we need to do better. We know we have failed to meet our government-set targets, and we're trying to focus on ways to get there. And I'm going to start with a question from Mr. Jenkins. You represent the Small Business Administration, have a position that gives you the opportunity to see what the other agencies of the federal government are doing and to work with them on specifically establishing the benchmarks within they work to help us meet our overall target. And basically, can you just give us, just candidly, why aren't we making the target and what do we need to do to fix that? And then can you talk about how the SBA will work to perhaps revise the goals, the target goals, given the fact that we now know the dollars that we're going to get under the Recovery Act?
Sure. One of the challenges that the agencies have is ensuring that businesses are at a level that can support the contracting that they're doing, both in terms of firms being in those specific industries that they're buying and selling. And one of the things that the SBA is trying to do in terms of its outreach is when we try to match agencies with businesses, including service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses, we're really pushing in terms of saying, this is what this particular agency buys, and therefore we're reaching out to those industries, those communities, and then making that information available. I think making sure that the small businesses understand how the agencies are buying, making sure they're registered in terms of the central contracting registrant, providing them with business development assistance, and certainly from an SBA standpoint, providing them with the financial support in terms of loans to assist them. We believe with the scorecard that we introduced about a year and a half ago that it heightened the visibility of all of these goals, including the service-disabled veterans, and working with the agencies to develop strategies and plans. We think that's critical, that there's now an increased focus in this particular area.
All right. Thank you. I agree that it is critical with the increased focus. You mentioned that you've established a stimulus bill coordinator position, and I won't ask you to comment on that anymore at the moment, but I will be interested to follow up and hear about the plans that coordinator has for increasing the share that particularly our veteran-owned small businesses are getting in terms of that government contracting. I want to move on and ask a question of Mr. Sabat. Can you please comment from your perspective on how you're going to coordinate with the states to ensure that the money that's coming from DOT through the states for transportation infrastructure then goes on and we ensure that essentially our veteran-owned and our small businesses have the best shot at getting access to that contracting?
Yes, sir. Although, if I may, I'll echo Cal's comments and reinforce his answer that I think absolutely one of the reasons that you've seen an uptick recently in government agency performance is the fact that more people are paying attention. There's more of a spotlight. I was the Chief of Staff at the Small Business Administration when the scorecard came out, and the Deputy Administrator at the time and myself split the duty of fielding the angry calls from our fellow government agencies of people who were ranked red in various categories but one call in particular justified, in my mind, the reason we had the program, where the Chief of Staff of another federal agency, which remain unnamed, called me to say, I have to confess that until you had the scorecard, I did not know that our agency had a goal for service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses. And now that we have that goal, now that we're aware of that, we can guarantee you that the front office of the agency will pay attention to that. But to your question in particular, sir, as I mentioned in both our written prepared testimony and in my verbal testimony, the Department of Transportation is covered by a separate law, and that law restricts our ability to set targets to the states to only disadvantaged business enterprises, which are also, we do not have the latitude of how we can determine who is eligible. Those are presumptively women, Latino, African American, and Asian-owned business owners with a net worth not to exceed $750,000 and contracts not to exceed $21 million. Within those categories, veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses may apply for qualification, but they will only qualify if they are both economically and identified as being both economically and socially disadvantaged. which we recognize can be high hurdles to accomplish. So we are certainly we are letting in the workshops and our outreach to the veteran-owned community, we're letting them know that these opportunities exist. But we're also aware that, unfortunately, we do not have the ability to simply inform the states, tell the states that they must include veterans within these programs. So we are offering the veterans information and training opportunities. Most of the work that we have right now with service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses is information technology related, not construction related. We want to get them more into the higher dollar value construction fields. But under current law, we do not have the ability to actually require the states to fold them into the over $30 to $35 billion a year, $30 to $35 billion that we'll be giving them through Recovery Act formula funds.
Thank you, and I'm certainly not meaning to imply that that you need to force some kind of goal on top of the states. However, there are still opportunities to be helpful with the states in working with them and ensuring that our businesses get a fair crack at these opportunities, even absent a specific target sent to the states. But thank you for your comments.